And again, thank you so much for joining us here on Idaho Today. You know, when we think of living a healthy lifestyle, we think of being active or we think of eating healthy, but those things do not have to actually be mutually exclusive. So we're joined right now by Erin Green to tell us how we can all eat and snack in a way to make the most of our activities and also watch our weight. So good to see you, my friend.
Yes, thank you for having me again.
I know, it's so great to have you. Okay, but we need to talk about something really important, which is obviously the whole snacking thing. So, and also a workout. What I want to know is, what should we be focusing on when it comes to fuel before a workout?
Yeah, so really there's not a whole lot of difference in eating for general health versus eating for a workout. So I like to tell people, you know, get that last nourishing meal about 3 to 4 hours away from your workout ahead of time, because that allows your body enough time to digest that fuel so it's ready to go. So this could look like a sandwich with some fruit, you know, maybe wash it down with a glass of milk or something. It could be, you know, some leftovers, a bowl of salad, whatever works for the individual.
Okay, so you just said whatever works for the individual, but we hear often though that, you know, well, I'm gonna do a long endurance run or, you know, a mountain biking, and people try to focus on certain foods. Are there certain foods that are better for fueling than others?
Sure. Our body usually uses fat for energy, but as we start working harder, we're using more carbohydrates for energy. And so we want to think of carbohydrates when you're doing those higher intensity activities. When your heart rate's up, maybe you're breathing heavier, breaking a sweat, that's an indication that you're using more carbs. So you might want to focus on more carbohydrate-based foods. You know, I have some ripe bananas here. This is a really great go-to if you're heading out for an intense activity and you don't want a lot of food in your stomach. You're getting those carbs. It's a nutritious and easy to grab, easily digestible choice.
Okay, and let's talk though about the type of workout as well, because I think we're speaking pretty much like in general, right? So we're talking like if you're gonna go out and you're gonna go do like a nice little run, or perhaps you're gonna ride bikes with a family. But we hear often too people that are working towards a pretty big goal physically, right? And then they do like either carbo loading, or they'll do like little, you know, like gels in the middle of a run.
Pasta dinner
The
or
pasta
whatever.
dinner, exactly, yeah. So let's talk about that though, because I think people that are maybe trying to get there don't know, when do you do something like that? Do you need to do something like that? You know, how do we apply those types of myths to what we're trying to achieve?
Really great questions, and honestly, there are a lot of layers and a lot of considerations. And so if somebody is working toward a specific goal, I encourage you to seek out the help of a dietitian to work through some of those specifics with you. But in general, you know, if you're just doing like your 60 minutes a day or 30 minutes a day of activity, there's nothing really special you need to do other than eating a balanced, nourishing diet and making sure that you're not super hungry and bonking in the middle of that activity, which is running out of fuel. Now, if you are training for a race or an event, if you're going out for a long trail run, let's say in the foothills, you might want to consider your nutrition a little bit differently, which might be the gels, the sports fuel, the electrolytes and sports nutrition replacement during the activity, and then really focusing on recovery nutrition, which is why I have, you know, some chocolate milks, some
that was my next question.
Different
How important
options.
is it to make sure that you're fueled after a workout, right?
So again, for just the average, you know, staying healthy, moving every day kind of person, you just eat a good meal like within an hour of your activity. But if you have short turnaround between activities, or like I think of our very active students who are, you know, they're active all day and then they go and practice after school, and man, they really need to focus a little more on recovery. And so I'm looking for maybe a bar or a snack trail mix. Again, we've got this banana, you know, fruit is very hydrating. Smoothies are an excellent choice because they're portable and they've got a lot of nutrition to offer.
Okay, and then let's talk also about hydration as well, because I know, you know, having that bottle of water is important, but if someone is out in the excessive heat, maybe they go for a long hike, or like you'd mentioned, there are kids that are out there that are doing multiple activities all in one day. Are there certain things that they should be keeping an eye out for when it comes to being hydrated?
Yeah, you know, in general, drinking water throughout the day with your meals, or another hydrating beverage, that might be 100% juice, it might be milk, that will keep someone well hydrated. Of course, we have foods that provide hydration too. I have some watermelon here that's in season, and we can't forget how foods and fluids hydrate our bodies throughout the day. And then during activity, if you're gonna be out in the heat for more than an hour working out, I'd really like to see some kind of electrolyte replacement.
Okay.
So that could be just your standard sports drink. You can get this at a gas station, a grocery store. It could be like the electrolyte tablets or the little pouches that you can add to a water bottle. Generally speaking, about 16 ounces per hour of fluid replacement is a good place to start. Some people will need more, some people can get by with less.
Yeah, but that's a great place, like you mentioned, a beginning point, if you will. Okay, great. And I see this glass of chocolate milk. That's one of my favorite recoveries. Seriously.
Me too. Yes.
It's a little treat, but also you're marking all the boxes for that protein and then also the sugars that you need as well, right, Erin?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, this is just a little tip of the iceberg of what we're going to be doing here today, because we now have how to fuel our bodies as we go to the workout. But coming up in just a little bit, Erin's going to show us a nice kind of at-home workout that we can all do to start our journey on wellness. And you know who's going to help us? We got a friend here in studio. I'm going to show you coming up in just a bit, so keep it here.